My Little Avengers, Chapter 16, by Koolerkid. Why can't you all open it? Big Mac asked, puzzled. Blue Blood huffed in frustration as he gestured to the enormous cast-iron door. The danger field is designed to lock down once the simulation goes over a certain danger threshold. The only way to shut it down is in the control room. His frown deepened. Though the security measures shouldn't kick in unless... He looked at Big Mac, a worried expression on his face. I think we should hurry. Big Mac, Spitfire, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie all followed Blue Blood as he hurriedly led the way up a small flight of stairs and down a hall. They burst onto the control room, only see that the window, normally opened into the danger field, was covered by a small metal shutter. Blue Blood's eyes wide opened. Oh, this is not good. He hurried to one of the control consoles, his horn lining up to manipulate the controls. Spitfire hovered nearby him, worriedly. What's wrong? Is Caramel okay? I'm not certain, Blue Blood said distractedly. However, the control room's protective shutters shouldn't be down unless one of the truly dangerous civilizations are activated. There are some scenarios I designed to push even Thor to his absolute limit, and Caramel would be hard-pressed to keep up even with his powers. Oh no. His eyes went wide. He's running scenario P-22. What? Pinkie gasped, bobbing up at Blue Blood's side without appearing to transfer to Earwing's face. But no pony was supposed to actually use those! They were just a quick one-off gag that was never going to be mentioned again! Hard to ask, but what's scenario P-22? Blue Blood opened his mouth, but Pinkie covered it with a No, don't! She gasped. I'm only allowed to break the fourth wall so many times, and I already pushed it earlier. Let's just say it's really, really dangerous, okay? Then shut it down! Spitfire commanded agitedly. If Caramel gets hurt. Already on it, Blue Blood said, pushing Pinkie away telekinetically. And there, scenario disabled. Deactivate security measures now. The metal shutter retracted, revealing the empty danger field. Empty, that is, save for a limp, unmoving, light brown pony in the very center. Caramel! Spitfire was already out of the room, rocketing down the hall and into the danger field. Caramel, you idiot! What did you do? She landed next to him, quickly checking his vitals. He's alive, but unconscious. She informed the others as they followed her into the field. He looks pretty beat up. She turned quickly as Caramel groaned, coming slowly to. Caramel? Spitfire? Caramel said weakly, struggling to his hooves. No, you can't play here. I don't want you to see me like this. What on Equestria were you trying to do, you foolish stallion? Blue Blood asked, looking quite beside himself as he approached. That scenario was too dangerous for any pony, let alone a pony without powers. Shut up! Caramel shouted suddenly, startling every pony. Don't you dare pity me! He was breathing heavily and swaying on his hooves, but his eyes burned like coals. I could take it. I had to. I don't need my powers. I don't. I'm strong. I'm powerful. I'm not a failure. Easy there, Caramel, Big Mac said, coming up beside him and propping him up. Y'all don't need to prove anything to us. We're your friends. I just... Caramel shook his head, as if trying to clear it. Being Captain Equestria is the first thing that's ever gone right for me. I don't want to lose it. Powers or no powers. I can't go back to the way I was. He turned to look at Big Mac. You remember what I was like? I messed everything up. I tried. I couldn't do anything right. Now, that ain't true, Big Mac tried to argue. Y'all were a hard worker. Y'all gave y'all everything you did. That counts for a lot. No, it doesn't. You know it, Caramel protested, pushing the larger pony away. What about last year's winter wrap-up, when I lost the seats 4 times? We all know you were just hiring me to be nice. Every pony did. I don't want ever to have to rely on any pony ever again. Whack! Caramel fell to the ground, blinking surprise from the hoof slap. Spitfire hovered over him hesitantly, glaring down at him. You idiot! She seized. We're your friends! You're supposed to rely on us! That's what friends are for! Caramel tried to interject, but Spitfire wouldn't let him, putting a hoof to his chest. You don't need to prove how strong you are to us, Caramel. We know how strong you are. It has nothing to do with your powers, your muscles, or anything physical. The hoof on his chest poked him, but much gentler, pointing at where his heart is. This is where you're strong. In here. You never give up. And that takes more strength than fighting 100 mutants. She hovered a little lower, her face nearing his. But stunts like this isn't strength, Caramel. This is being weak. Don't ever do it again, okay? Caramel blanked back to tears and smile. I won't. I promise. Good, she said with a satisfied grin. Without warning, she suddenly dropped into him and kissed him. Caramel blinked in surprise, stiffing in shock for a few moments before relaxing, wrapping his hooves around her and kissing her back. A bright golden glow enveloped the pair as they kissed, radiating out from Spitfire only to be drawn to Caramel, making his body glow like a rising sun. As he lay there, his hooves around the mare of his dreams, he felt his muscles grow and his body expand. Power rushed into him like water into a well. Captain Equestria was reborn. Rarity dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. Oh, that's so beautiful, she gushed. I must say, Mr. McIntosh, you do have an excellent sense of timing. Big Mac was growling proudly. It's not mine, he confided. I'll like to touch the other opponent to make it work. What? Rarity's brow furrowed. Then how? Some things are even stronger than friendship, Big Mac said simply, his grin growing. Well to go, little bud, he whispered. We don't have long, Big Mac told the group. They were all assembled in the meeting room. With the exception of Big Mac and the civilians, they were all in costume and ready for battle. Loki said the princesses are alive for now, but there's no way for knowing how long that'll last. He paced back and forth nervously. We need a way to take out the Dark Avengers, Trixie and Loki, with just the four of us. He sighed, and I don't know how much use I'll be in a fight without four. I'm mighty strong, but I think I'm not much of a mite. Any pony got any ideas? The room was silent. Every pony looked anxious and uncomfortable, save Blue Blood, with his expression hidden behind his helmet. Even Pinky looked concerned. Finally, Caramel spoke up. I've been thinking about the Dark Avengers, he volunteered. I think I might have a way to beat him. I don't think Loki might have done too good a job on him. There's some weaknesses I think we can exploit. Good, Big Mac said, with a relieved smile and nod. Now what about Trixie? Next to Loki, she's the biggest threat, what with her having Gundyr.
Oh, you don't need to worry about her, reasserted a cheerful voice. Everybody looked on in shock as a tiny filly, Princess Celestia, leapt out from under the table. Trixie's gone. She won't be bothering any pony.
Princess! Big Mac stuttered, his posture straightened. I thought Loki captured you. How does he escape?
The tiny princess chuckled. Everybody seems to have forgotten that because I look like a filly doesn't make me any less the millennia-old trickster guys have always been. They didn't even bother binding me away like they did my sister. They just put me an anti-magic spell seal like we use for acorn criminals.
She shook her head in mock disappointment.
You think they know better than to let the tiny goddess out for sale for a potty break?
Princess! Spitfire interrupted politely. What do you mean when you said Trixie was gone?
Oh, right,
Celestia said, leaping up onto the table and turning to address every pony.
No pony ever bothers to hide things from a little filly, so I was able to find out all sorts of useful things, like, for example, how Trixie turned on Loki to try and take Equestria for herself. Loki dealt with her easily, of course. She got away, but I don't think she'll be coming back for a while, and she took Grundir with her, so we don't have to worry about it.
Big Mac grinned proudly at the news. Well, it's perfect! With Trixie gone, if you three can handle the Dark Avengers, then that does least Loki. His face fell suddenly. For me. Who am I kidding?
Piggy bounced to her friend's side. Don't worry, Mac Attack! I'm sure you'll think of something.
Big Mac forced a smile. Thanks, Planky. But, I don't know. We don't really have any pony as strong as Loki. Unless... Princess? Every pony turned to look at the shrunken monarch. She shoveled her hose embarrassedly.
Sorry. I still don't have the most of my power yet. I say I'm about as strong as a really strong unicorn right now. And that's not enough to take on a really powerful unicorn like Loki. Her face lit up. But I have an idea! She leapt off the table and onto Big Mac's back. I think I have a way for you to do it. She leaned down and whispered in his ear. Big Mac listened patiently,
A grin slowly crept on his face. When Celestia was finished, Big Mac turned to the Avengers. "Listen up, Airborne!" he commanded. His voice was still unmistakably his, but it shook with the confidence and godlike tones of Thor. "I think we have ourselves a plan!" The group nervously approached Canterlot Castle, taking the side roads to avoid being spotted. The streets were crawling with unusually large earth ponies, easily the size of Big Mac or Caramel, all wearing heavy armor and bearing the mark of Loki over where their cutie marks should be.
Those are Loki's constructs,
Celestia informed him in a whisper as they snuck along.
The ones out here are mostly belong to that big armored unicorn, the Ironmonger. Loki gave them to him, and he controls them from his room in the castle. But once you're inside, all the constructs will be controlled directly by Loki, and anything they see, he'll see too. You'll have to be careful.
I have to admit, I don't like this plan, Spitfire said with a frown. She turned to Big Mac. An awful lot of it seems to rest on Loki behaving like you think he will, and it puts you in a lot of danger. You're not invincible anymore, you know. Spitfire, Firebird is right, Blue Blood, now Iron Pony again, said, his voice distorted by his armor. Are you quite certain about this, Bagatoss?
Don't worry, Piggy Pie said cheerfully. Big Mac can handle anything Loki dishes out, right, Mac?
Big Mac chuckled. Yep, don't you all worry, none. This'll work, I promise.
We're here,
Celestia announced. The group came to a stop in front of what seemed to be a dead-end alley. Boxes and garbage were piled high, and at Celestia's direction, Big Mac and Crafty Equestria pushed a large pile to the side, revealing a hidden door.
The castle,
the diminutive princess chirped.
You have everything you need?
Big Mac placed a hoof on the small pouch Rarity had cunningly sewn, almost entirely hidden against his bright red coat. Yep. Everybody remember their jobs? He glanced around as every pony nodded seriously, even Pinkie Pie. Good. Rarity, y'all better take the princess back to the mansion, where it's safe.
Of course,
Rarity said, as he trotted up to Iron Pony and briefly whispered in his ear. Blue Blood flicked up his face paint in response, and gave her a brief kiss. I'll be fine, dearest Rarity, I promise, he whispered, before flipping his face right down. Now go and hurry. You'll see you soon. Rarity nodded and hurriedly collected the princess, fleeing the alleyway before any pony could see her crying.
Bye, everybody,
Celestia called as Rarity dragged her away.
Good luck.
Big Mac smiled briefly, before turning back to the door. Well, here goes nothing. He nudged the door open. Let's do this, Airborne. Loki stood in his throne room, smiling to himself. The grand throne room had been redesigned. Bright colors had changed with Loki's green and yellow. The stained glass windows had been changed from the beautiful murals depicting the history of Equestria to endless repetitions of Loki's own visage and his twisted snake symbol. The doors to the grand chamber swung open, and a small troop of armored constructs marched in, a beaten-up Big Mac being dragged along in their midst. Loki turned to meet his procession, a smile growing wider. Ah, if it isn't my brother's former host, he chuckled, practically hopping down from the raised dais the throne sat on. Come to save the day with a dazzling display of last-minute heroics, have you? Did you really think I wouldn't be watching the secret entrances to the castle? I happen to be quite clever. That sort of thing doesn't get past me. Loki was quite proud of his feats. He had adapted from ancient Asgardian speech patterns to a much more modern mode, allowing him to sound less like an antiquated villain from an old novel, and more like a modern, up-to-date ruler. Big Mac, however, showed little respect for Loki's achievement. He said nothing, not even lifting his head. He just stared at the ground, not even daring to look upon Loki's magnificence. This was just fine with Loki. Really? What did you even hope to accomplish? You're nothing but the mortal earth pony who used to host my brother's soul. Did you really think you stood a chance against me? Not really, Loki said, sounding oddly jovial. Loki's brow furrowed as the red pony raised his head to reveal a large, ear-to-ear grin. But my job wasn't to fight you. I was just trying to get close enough to use this! He pulled a small gemstone Rarity had prepared from the hidden pouch she sewn for him, tossing it at Loki as hard as he could. Loki acted without even thinking. He aimed Mjolnir at the gem and fired a bolt of lightning. The bolt was so bright as to blind every pony in the room, and Loki felt a powerful wave of magic expanding from the gem. When his foes had cleared, Big Macintosh stood by himself, smirking at him from the center of the throne room. The constructs were all gone. The Avengers stood just outside Canterlot Castle, hidden in a handy bush. Iron Pony, Firebird, and Captain Equestria all sat in silence, silently waiting the signal. Suddenly, Iron Pony got to his feet. "There it is!" he exclaimed. "I just felt it. Vanity's gem bomb just went off. Come on!" He led the charge into the castle. The gates now left unguarded. What did you do?" Loki asked, his friendly demeanor fancying under his anger. "Where did my gods go?" Big Mac just chuckled at his foe's distress. "Y'all could thank Rarity's anti-magic gem bomb for that. It's not all that strong, and it only lasts for a second. On top of that, I need a sample of magic from the pony to cancel it out. Lucky for us, it's just strong enough to cancel out all them guards of yours. Y'all were kind enough to provide the magic sample." He began approaching Loki. "It'll take you hours to call up more guards. By then, it'll be too late. My friends are taking care of your Dark Avengers, and I'll take care of you. Are your friends, Loki?" Loki blinked, staring at the arrogant Earth Pony. Then he chuckled, which grew to a deep resounding laugh. "Oh, that is too funny. You think a wicked little mortal like you can defeat a god? Even without my gods, you're assuming your puny friends can defeat my Dark Avengers. There is no possible way for a weakling like you to defeat me. You're just an Earth Pony." "My friends are stronger than y'all think, Loki," Big Mac said calmly. "And for all your talk about how acorns shouldn't underestimate unicorns, y'all start underestimating Earth Ponies an awful lot." Loki started impatiently. "Oh, please, like you could possibly..." Wait. His brow furrowed as he noticed something amiss in Mac's phrasing. "Did you say us, Earth Ponies?" "Yup," Big Mac said with a grin. "Pony guy, now!"
Okie dokie!
Came a familiar voice behind Loki, just as he felt a weight line on his back.
Hiya, Grandpa Loki!
A big blur shot down his leg and yanked Mjolnir off. The cords of the ancient hammer offered little resistance as Pinkie Pie separated from his surrogate wielder.
Bye, Grandpa Loki!
Pinkie set off on a run towards Big Mac, hammer in her mouth. Loki had to stop and take a moment to process what had just happened. But when he did, he flared his wings and roared in anger, his voice shaking loose stones from the ceiling. "How dare you!" he boomed, horn lighting up. "You don't have to fight Loki! I will wipe you from the face of Equestria, you arrogant pest!" A bolt of magic leapt from his horn, forming into a snake as it lashed at Pinkie. At the last second, Pinkie felt her tail twitch and leapt to the side, causing the bolt to splash harmlessly onto the floor. She swung her head, tossing the hammer to Big Mac as he ran past.
Take it! Bing!
She was already dashing out the door as Big Mac held his hook to receive his hammer. "No!" Loki screamed, but it was too late. Mjolnir's cords wrapped around themselves around Big Mac's hoof, snuggling the hammer against him, like a foal glad to return home. There was a pause, before Mjolnir began to glow brightly, covering his wielder in radiance. The glow grew brighter and brighter, blinding Loki. Finally, an ear-splitting thunderclap could be heard, and the glow ceased. Fearfully, Loki looked back at where Big Mac once stood. "Loki!" boomed the God of Thunder. "I would have words with thee!" Chapter 17. The Ghost Flyer liked the dungeons. They were quiet and dark. No pony bothered him there, which was good, as he could hardly stand to be around any pony anymore. He could hear their sins calling to him, crying out for punishment. Every pony had sins, even the most innocent of civilians. He'd always known that, but now he heard it and could feel it around him like a suffocating cloak. And the ponies he worked with were the worst of all. So he spent his time away from them, in the dungeons. He lay there on the stone floor, ignoring the cold and damp. The flame of vengeance that burned in his tail around kept his skull warm, though it merely simmered now, with no sinful ponies around to stroke his fury. He spent his time in a half-asleep state, unable to truly rest anymore, and not really minding. He found himself not caring about much anymore. Suddenly, his burning mane flickered, and his head shot up. "Intruders!" he hissed. "Some pony is here!" The Ghost Flyer got to his hooves, turning toward the stairs that led down from the main castle. "It is you, isn't it, Spitfire? Come to exact vengeance upon me!" He laughed, an unearthly cackle that chilled his soul. "Nice, likely!" spoke a masculine voice, as a silhouette appeared at the top of the stairs, descending rapidly. It was an Earth pony, and it bore a shield. If the Ghostfire was still capable, he would have frowned.
The Earth pony! But you are the Red One's foe, not mine!
Captain Equestria stepped into the dim light, his shield gleaming proudly. "Seize the planes, Demon," he said, face hard. "You hurt my feeling friend, so I decided to come make you pay." Ghost Skull leered.
So you and the traitor, take care she doesn't stab you in the back as she did me, foolish captain.
Captain's expression didn't change. "Spitfire wouldn't do that. She told me what you tried to do. You wanted to cover yourself in fire like a comet, and use the heat for extra speed and try to perform a sonic rainbow. You could have killed every pony, especially yourself." The Ghost Flames roared higher.
"It would have worked!" he screamed. "Flame never harmed me! I could have tamed it! I would have been the most spectacular thing Ponyville had ever seen! And she ruined it!"
he exclaimed, as fire erupted from the fire-angry pony-turned monster, roaring toward the captain in a furious torrent. The captain Equestria never flinched. He dug in his hooves, feeling the strength from the earth flow up his legs. He braced himself and braced his shield. The flames washed up against it harmlessly, and though the captain felt the heat, the enchantments on the shield kept him from being burnt. The torrent lasted a full minute before filing down. "If you surrender now, things will be much easier on you," the captain commented, lowering his shield. The dungeon had filled with smoke, making it difficult to see the Ghostfire. "We might be able to reverse what's been done to you. Get you some counseling. After you do your time, you might even be able to find shows again." An angry hiss sounded from within the cloud. Captain Equestria's sensitive ears began pinpointing the location of his foe spoke.
"And live the rest of my life as a pariah? No, I have been outcast far too long. Under Loki, I shall be great again!"
Here, amongst the stonework and within the earth, Caramel could feel things so much more keenly than before. The ghost has left the ground, but his earth sense was so sensitive now he could feel the downbeat from his impossible skeletal wings. He could hear the cackling of bones, the sound of a beating heart. He began moving towards his enemy. "Loki's already lost, Ghost. Big Macintosh is taking care of him as we speak. Your new world is doomed."
"Lies! You are lying!"
The voice came from an angle Caramel expected it. The ghost had moved without his noticing. He barely raised his shield in time to parry the flame. But rather than strand his ground this time, he led towards the flame's source, pushing through it. He saw the glowing red embers the creature had in place in eyes, and he swung with the edge of his shield. The shield landed a solid hit, and the captain felt more than saw the Ghostfire hit the ground. The smoke was clearing now, though, so Caramel could see his foe as he approached him slowly. "You can't hurt me, Ghostfire," Captain Equestria stated. "Surrender now, please. I really don't want to have to hurt you." A ghostly cackle emerged from the skull.
"Then you are weak. My fangs may be unable to burn you, but I have one weapon left."
The Ghostfire lifted his skeletal head, his burning ember eyes meeting Caramel's.
"Burn in the fires of your own sins, Captain! Burn under the under my pedestal!"
Spitfire had warned him of this, but even knowing what was coming, Caramel found himself unable to prepare. A torrent of images washed over him. Every secret shame, all his buried guilt came washing over him like a tidal wave. And there was a lot. Every pony he had ever failed, every problem he had ever caused, every single screw-up he had made in the course of a long life full of nothing but mistakes. It was every disappointment and failure, all at once. From when he failed his father by not becoming an athlete, to his mother, who wanted a unicorn foal like her, to Big Mac, who hired him out of pity to Spitfire, who deserved better to his team he let down, and everything he had ever done and failed. And he should just curl up into the ball and die. You stupid, useless, worthless failure that never amounted to anything, doesn't deserve what he got. No! He screamed. He forced himself to his hooves, fighting back his own nemesis. "I will not give up!" An image of Spitfire hovering over him, kissing him, caring about him. "I'll not give in!" Big Mac smiling at him, telling him how proud he was. I am not a failure! His team, all working with him to take down Juggernaut. Him slamming the Juggernaut in the face, bringing her to the ground. I am Captain Bucket Equestria! An older image. Him as a young colt on a mountaintop. Exhausted but triumphant. Plucking the flowers that only grew at the very peak. Looking back at his trail. Thinking of how he made it with his own hooves. Never once looking back or giving up. Giving the flowers to a filly of his dreams. And earning a kiss in return. His cutie marker preparing. 3 horseshoes. 3. Because as long as he still had 1 hoof left, he never give up. And you are under arrest! Like a demon from a storybook, Captain Equestria rose from the crumpled heap he'd fallen into, bellowing like a mad pony, his eyes wide. The embers from the pedestal still hovered about him, making his eyes look like they were alight with unholy flame. Impossible! The fearsome ghost flyer began to retreat, uncomprehending of the oncoming terror. No pony can resist the pedestal! Call me no pony then! Captain Equestria growled, springing forward. His shield impacted the ghost's skull, causing a sickening crack to fill the air. The ghost's fire hit the floor, and the captain went after him, diving the shield into the face again. Because I'll never give up, no matter what! Even if I know I'll just screw up again, I'll keep trying, because every once in a while, he grinned savagely, I get a day like today. A day when I'll win. Thud. Where are the gods? Obsidian sage said, where did they all go? He stomped his hooves angrily. He liked having those constructs at his command. He had run the city for once. He had been top dog, looking down on every pony else. It was intoxicating. Now he was cut off, and he hated it. Somebody's gonna pay. And me without my bets. The jet black unicorn spun about as a feminine voice came from the doorway of his well-furnished personal chambers. His eyes narrowed as he saw the Pegasus filly with a burning mane standing there, a smirk on her face. I should have known that power drain wouldn't stick, he grumbled. But what the hell are you doing here? You're supposed to be that boneheaded freak's problem. My job was to handle the spoiled brat. What? Did you think we'd just mildly follow your game plan? Spitfire chuckled. We decided to mix things up a bit. What's wrong? A big, strong stallion like you doesn't think he can handle little old me. Obsidian glowered as his horn lit up. Oh, I think I can handle you all right. His armor came flying from a hidden cupboard and came over him. Spitfire loosed a burst of flame, realizing he lost the element of surprise, but it was too late. The Ironmonger armor assembled much faster than the Iron Pony armor, and Obsidian was already reaching his shields. You're just another jumped-up pony who thinks he's better than the rest of us. Celebrities are no better than nobles. They get everything they want, while every pony else has to work for it. The primary emitter cannons on his shoulders lit up with a fearsome power. But now, I get to be on top. Twin beams of bright blue energy erupted from the cannons towards the Spitfire, or rather, where Spitfire had been a moment ago. Gotta work on your aim there! Spitfire remarked casually from behind the hulking armored pony. Obsidian spun about and fired again, but Spitfire was faster. All Obsidian destroyed was his 5,000-bit oakwood desk. Hold still, you annoying pest! Obsidian yelled, firing another volley, which destroyed the lovely armoire he had found in the antique shop. I should have known he's evil. He has an oakwood desk instead of mahogany. No thanks, Spitfire said lazily. Her hearts glowed as she lit a pair of flames on him. And for the record, my mom worked as a weather pony in Stalingrad, and my dad was a farmer. My problem was probably a hell of a lot poorer than yours. But instead of blaming everything that went wrong on the ponies with more money, I went and made something of myself. And I did it without walking all over every pony else and making a hypocrite of myself. Obsidian's angry, exhausting panting was filled with harsh sag for the two speakers. I'm gonna kill you! No, you won't, Spitfire said, deadly calm replacing her earlier detachment. The flames in her hose roared higher. You remember? Verity? I like her. And you her cult friend. She's not around to get revenge for it, though, so I'll have to do it instead. Now you hold still! Flames exploded from the costumed Pegasus, like water from a burst dam, filling the room. Obsidian tried to throw up shields, but they lasted mere moments as the incredible heat from the flames overloaded him. The stone walls turned cherry red as the fire reached the armormonger's suit. Obsidian's screams filled the air as the heat transferred through the metal armor. The suit's protective measures should have him protected from any permanent harm, Spitfire thought as she turned up the heat. It just would hurt a heck of a lot, until he passed out and surrendered. That was fine with her. Obsidian was a bastard. The Red Skull stood in the royal gardens, soaking in the energy of nature, utterly. All around him, the garden had withered and died as he drew in the natural energy of Earth. He stood stark still among the desolation, his eyes closed in bliss. Apparently, stealing life force from nature was a euphoric experience. His eyes opened slowly. You know, I can feel you approaching. I can feel your footsteps on the ground. That armor is not very good for subtle, my friend. That's okay, Iron Pony said from behind Red Skull. I wasn't really trying to surprise you. I wanted to talk to you for a bit first. Red Skull turned about slowly, a bemused expression on his face. Really? I thought you would want to attack me, bang bang, for the insult I gave your friend. Oh, I do, Iron Pony said, his face hidden behind a mask as always. I just wanted to give you a chance to fully understand why. Caramel told me about the philosophy of yours, about destiny, of some ponies are just born better than others. Is that about right? Yeah. The Grotesque's face nodded in agreement. I was born for great things, and those who were not will serve me. This is only common sense. Surely, as a prince, you understand my meaning. Oh yes, I understand, Iron Pony replied hotly. I believed the same thing not long ago. I believed that I was born to be great, that every pony else was nothing more than my host tool. But tell me this, Red Skull, what exactly makes you so great? What do you plan to do that'll change the world? Why are you here? Red Skull scoffed. Why do you ask me such silly questions? I am here to enlighten those below me. To bring them to a new age of greatness, by way of intimidation over my grand image. Also, look upon me and— Stop! Iron Pony shook his head. That's not greatness, that's just vanity. I got the two mixed up before. But let me tell you something. He stepped closer to the deformed pony. I never did anything. All I ever did was sit around lazily, devour food and complain, and treat every pony like dirt. That was my destiny, to be a burden until the day I died, and then forgotten by every pony save those who hated me. And had I clung to that stupid selfish destiny, I'd be dead now, pierced through the heart by a piece of masonry, my entire life bereft of meaning. Red Skull said nothing. Iron Pony continued. But I cast aside that destiny. I cast aside my idiotic superiority. I got down on my knees and begged the pony I had once thought beneath me, not even worthy of my notice, to help me. And now, I'm here. The emitter crystals on the Iron Pony's shoulders began to glow. So I decided, if destiny means being a selfish bully, blind to the needs of those around me. The air before him almost seemed to ignite as beams of blue light exploded from him. I want no part in it! Red Skull leapt over the flames, landing behind Iron Pony. Fool! You do not believe in my greatness! His hind legs lashed out, sending Iron Pony sprawling before he could turn around. Then I will prove it to you! I have been drawing upon the power of nature all day. I evolved by the power of Celestia herself! Who are you? He asked the armored pony, struggling to his feet. Take away your armor, and what is left? Well, Iron Pony began, writing himself. A royal billionaire super genius who is dating one of the most successful and beautiful males in all of Equestria, and has been voted most eligible stallion by Play Code 3 years running. His grin was nearly audible through his mask. What about you? You claim to be great, but so far all you've done is use powers you stole from some pony else. Take away your powers, and what are you? Red Skull gave an inarticulate scream of rage, and rather than respond, charged at Iron Pony. The prince inside the armor didn't so much as flinch, spraying his forehose wide to meet Lars Pony's charge. There was a loud clang as Red Skull's hooves met with the Iron Pony's armored one. The grotesquely deformed head leered at his armored foe as the armor servos cracked and whined audibly. You cannot defeat me! I am great! Glory is my birthright! I deserve to be great! Blue Blood's forelegs hurt terribly as he struggled against Red Skull's monstrous strength. Warnings and error messages appeared in his helmet's HUD. He had little hope of maintaining his grapple for more than 2 seconds. However, beneath his mask, Blue Blood grinned. A few seconds was all he needed. All you deserve is to be sent to jail as the criminal you are, he said through clenched teeth. The core diamond in his chest began to glow brighter, reaching an almost painful intensity as the focusing ring deployed. And now, you'll get exactly what you deserve. Unibeam! Fire! The primary issue with the Unibeam was the range. Its power bled off rapidly. Luckily, some ponies were stupid enough to get within blank range. Red Skull was sent flying like a rat doll, spazzing into the wall of the castle. He left a small crater into heavy stone before tumbling to the ground, unconscious. Blue Blood looked over, favoring his front legs. And that, he told his defeated foe, though he couldn't hear, was for Caramel. No pony may lay a hoof on a friend of Prince Blue Blood without consequence. Booyah. In the throne room of Canterlot Castle, Loki glared hatefully at his brother from his perch on the raised dais where the throne sat. I killed you, he spat. You should be dead. Why are you back? The God of Thunder shook his head slowly. Y'all really don't get it, do you? Loki blinked as his foe spoke, not in the commanding tones of Thor, but with the broad accent of his host, Macintosh Apple. Thor's been dead for a long time, Loki. All that's left of him is an echo, memory, and magic, wrapped up in a hammer. A mine? Y'all didn't kill me. Y'all let me walk away. No. Loki said, disbelief in his voice. No. No. You can't be. You are Thor! Macintosh Apple is just an us-pony farmer! Nothing but a vessel! You can't! You can't! I used to think like that too, Big Mac agreed. I thought me and Thor were separate. Like he was some alien that got himself stuck in my noggin. But it don't work that way, Loki. I am Thor. And Thor and Big Mac, we're the same pony now. He paused for a minute. That thought would have scared me once. I was afraid of losing myself. But now I know I won't. 'Cause Thor's just me. Not some other pony trying to take me over. And if I ever forget it, well, that's what my friends are for. You. Loki visibly struggled to regain control over himself. All this time, his foe hadn't been the great god he had called a brother, his eternal foe, but a mere earth pony, an unworthy mortal, hidden behind his brother's face. The sheer audacity staggered him, but Loki controlled himself. No, it doesn't matter. His horn began to cackle with sickly green energy. Thor, Odin's son, Macintosh Apple, it doesn't matter who you are. I am Loki the Magnificent! I fell the city of the gods themselves! He beat his stunted wings, footing off the floor. I'll fight you to a crest and sort it out all later! Nay, Loki, Thor said. Loki grinned upon hearing his brother's familiar voice return. The day is the day when I finally send thee to thy eternal rest in Helheim! You are certainly looking to try, brother! Loki growled ominously. Magic exploded from his horn, a roaring torrent of flame in the shape of an angry dragon, snapping his jaws at Thor. Thor shot forward like an arrow, Mjolnir raised high. A single swipe of his hammer bashed the flaming maw as he charged Loki. With a snarl and flash of magic, Loki's flesh began to twist and warp. By the time his brother had arrived, he was facing not an alicorn, but the wolf the size of an Ursa Minor. The great beast was Loki and led to the charging god, pinning him to the floor with one great paw. I will destroy you, brother! Growled Loki, his voice twisted by the new guise. I will rend the flesh from your bones and scatter your remains to the winds! How dare you defy me! Thor's own horn began to crackle with power. Defy thee! Lightning exploded from Thor's body, throwing Loki across the throne room, his body returning to its former shape. Thor floated up onto the air, made alive with lightning. Thou art the one who killed our gods themselves! Thou destroyed our home and our family! Thou hast casted the sovereigns of this land, usurped their power, and threatened its inhabitants! And you dare accuse me of defiance! Loki gave an inarticulate snarl, and suddenly his body lurched forward, and a nervous snake exploding from where he stood. Massive jaws large enough to swallow Thor whole open wide, attempting to seize the Thunder God in their grip. With a fearsome cry, Thor swung his hammer, bashing the side of the snake's head. Once again, Loki fell to the floor, pain dispelling from his shifting magic. "Surrender, Loki!" Thor said in a quieter tone. "The age of Asgardians has gone, and by thy hoof no less. The ponies will not merely lay on their bellies and grovel boldly as they once did. Even if thou wert to defeat me this day, they will never surrender to thee. Thine own machinations have given them the strength to defy thee. Surrender now, and I can promise thee a far kinder fate than those who shall come after me will be inclined to offer." Loki stood up slowly, shakily. His eyes burned with hatred, but his posture was that of a defeated stallion. "Very well, brother," he whispered. "You win." Loki glared at his brother for several long moments, before slowly lowering himself to the ground. "Very wise, Loki." His hammer made contact with the ground, and once more, Big Macintosh stood in the god's place. "Very wise," he repeated. Loki's defeated frown became a triumphant grin as his horn ignited, lifting Big Mac from the ground. "Ha!" he laughed. "It is you who lack its wisdom, mortal! You should have stayed in my brother's guise. It would have saved you from this!" The familiar green soul-steal spell lost itself from Loki's horn, only to meet Mjolnir head-on. The mighty hammer absorbed the green energy, and Loki looked on, dumbfounded. Thor floated in the air, his hammer thrumming with the stolen power of the soul steel, eyes glowing. Loki stepped backwards a few steps. "How? You needed to hit the ground to transform. I know you do. I watched you do it!" Thor slowly shook his head. "I am Macintosh Apple. I am Thor Odin's son. We are the same pony. Before, when I thought that myself to be separate, I used a hammer to tell the difference. I need no such crutch now!" He raised cackling Mjolnir and leveled it straight at Loki. "I offer thee mercy, and thou spit in my face! I am sorry, brother, but this is all thou deserves." The spell launched from his hammer, amplified by the power of 1,000 thunderstones, enough to kill a god. It hit Loki square in the horn. The trickster god collapsed like a puppet with his strings cut. Weakly, the smaller Alcor looked up at his brother approach, towering over him. "I am truly sorry," he whispered down to his brother. Loki grinned. "I am not," he said weakly, "for even though I die, my death will cause a singularity strong enough to give magic to ponies all over Equestria. Even the non-pony races. In a few generations, the mutant will be the only species left." He laughed a whispery, wheezing laugh. "A world ruled by magic. Just what I always wanted." His mane, horn, and eyes, and even his key mark began to glow with a deep emerald light. "Look after my world, Thor, even if it will never truly be mine. Look after the mutants. That's the last request from your brother." Thor looked on quietly. "I will, brother." Loki smiled. "Good." He staggered to his feet. "Goodbye, Thor." "Farewell, Loki." Loki closed his eyes, and the world turned white. Chapter 18. Equestria returns. Time moves on, and the day comes around again. Ponyville had changed a lot since Big Mac's last visit. Half of the original Avengers were from here, after all, and many of the newer members that came were from here as well. Ponyville had one of the highest mutation rates in all of Equestria, with nearly 2/3 of the population mutated merely a month after Loki's fall. With so many celebrities calling one town home, it was hardly surprised that the once backwater town of Ponyville had now topped Canterlot as Equestria's #1 vacation and tourist spot. Fans of the Avengers, hopefuls looking to be recruited by them, mutators, hoping proximity to the laser town would grant them spectacular abilities, tourists, vacationers, families, hundreds of ponies came to Ponyville daily. Big Mac took comfort in the fact that not a single one recognized him as he and Applejack walked through the marketplace. "Take it easy, Mac," Applejack advised. "Y'all look like you're about to head for the hills." "Sorry, Sis," Big Mac said sympathously. "I'm not used to being in a crowd that ain't swarming for my autograph." "Y'all are spending too much time with Thor," Applejack admonished. "I think it's a good thing y'all came home for your birthday. Y'all need a break." "Yeah, you're probably right," Big Mac sighed. "But enough about me. How have you been, AJ? How's Apple Bloom and Granny? And the farm? Y'all been able to take care of it?" Applejack smiled at her brother reassuringly. "Well, it ain't been easy since y'all stole my friends away for that crazy team of yours. But Fluttershy and I still comes around by to help with the animals. And I've hired more than I help enough for the farm. We've made enough this year to buy Granny's hip replacement. And Apple Bloom and her friends are still trying to be Cutie Mark Crusader Avengers." Big Mac chuckled, shaking his head. "Some things never change, I guess." "Some things do," Applejack responded, suddenly solemn. "Ponyville's a lot different now. I mean, it's not me hating, but it's not the quiet little town it used to be. And everybody's left." She sighed. "How is everybody? Getting along all right?" Big Mac tapped a hoof to his chin. "Well, we made Pinkie Pie head of public relations. She was thrilled once she found out what it meant."
"Hi, everybody! I'm Pinkie Pie, and I'll be your tour guide for this super spectacular, amazing, wonderful tour of Pause for dramatic event, the Avengers Mission! Everybody stay together now. Don't wander off. Don't touch any of Bluey's sciencey stuff. He hates that. And whatever you do, don't try to implode causality. It's a big mess, and there's no fuzzies for any pony. Now, trust me. Now, everybody ready? Good! Stay close and follow me, and we'll have all the great big party afterwards. Let's go!"
Rainbow Dash is having the time of her life. She's a field leader now, you know. Got her own team and everything. "Run for it!" The bank robbers all scattered in directions. Manhattan was a big city, with lots of back alleys to hide in. Safe Spirit, codenamed Angel, looked at her team leader. "Aren't you going to try to stop them?" she asked, confused. The large metal pony said, as Stone's Colossus gave a rumbling laugh. "Not little one. You just wait. Quicksilver, she likes giving them a head start. Don't worry, they won't escape." Angel turned back to the blue-furred Pegasus. The Quicksilver wore a white and silver flight suit that hid her mane, but every pony knew who she was. "She's really that fast." "No pony faster," Quicksilver replied with a smirk. 3, 2, 1. There was a bright rainbow-colored flash and a deafening crack of a sonic rainbow. "Rarity and Blue are off on a business trip. Considering what I just helped Blue pick out, though, I guess it's a bit more than that." Prance, one of the fanciest, most beautiful cities in Equestria, the center of high fashion. Rarity was in heaven. She and Prince Blueblood stood up on the Eiffel Grand Tower, looking down from the magnificent city below.
"Oh, Blue,"
Verity sighed, leaning against her cold friend's side.
"This has been the most fabulous day ever."
"I'm glad you liked it, my dear, but it's not quite over yet." Prince stepped back, turning to face Rarity. Rarity looked puzzled.
"Whatever you mean, darling?"
Blueblood took a deep breath, then got down on his front knees. His horn lit up, meditatively levitating a small box out of his vest pocket. "Rarity!" He opened the box, revealing a magnificent diamond ring Macintosh had kindly helped pick him out. "Will you marry me?" "Twilight? Well, we haven't heard from her in a few weeks, but I'm sure she'll find. Y'all don't get to be Sorcerer Supreme without knowing how to take care of yourself." "Curse you, Twilight Sparkle!" screamed the unholy abomination, as the chains of the Magnate... Excuse me? The chains of the Magnate... What? Chains of the Yes! Elements of Harmony and Savior of Worlds reference for the win, baby! Dragged back into the darkness realm.
"I will be back. I will destroy you if it's the last thing I ever do. I will feast on your soul."
The creature's rant was cut off as the portal slammed shut, cutting him off from Equestria. Twilight's brow furrowed as he poured the last bit of magic into her sealing portal. Massive chains of magic, cold steel wrapped around the enormous stone box, which contained a rainbow of darkness, sealing it shut. "There!" she exclaimed, wiping the sweat off her forehead. She was exhausted, but triumphant.
That's to keep T-Rex sealed for another 10 million years or so. Now, let's go get Spike and go home.
And as for the rest of my old team, well, they mostly train the new recruits these days, though they still go off missions when we need them. The small group of new recruits waited in the danger field, whispering among themselves nervously. They had all who heard their trainers would be, and the mood was somewhere between hero worship and terror. They say it was really Captain Equestria who defeated Discord. He was standing right behind the elements of harmony, and his glare turned Discord to stone, judged one recruit, trying to lighten the mood with an old game of Question Equestria facts. Another recruit, inspired, countered, "Well, I heard that the only reason Princess Celestia reaches the sun is that Firebird has better things to do." "Ooh, good one!" The chattering almost stopped immediately as the Dangerfield's door opened wide, and two of the most famous, well-known faces in all Equestria stepped inside. "Welcome, recruits, to Avengers Mansion," Captain Equestria said with a smile, Firebird hovering faithfully at his side. "Let's get started, shall we?"
You know what's ironic?
That is how Age of Ultron ended. Just saying.
Creepy!
Sound like Sabrepoint's doing fine, Applejack said, trying to force a smile. Big Mac came up beside her and gave her a hug. "I know y'all felt a bit lonely all by here yourself," he said quietly. "I'm mighty sorry about that. But the Avengers are important."
I know,
Applejack said, with a real smile this time. "And I'm mighty proud of you. Just don't forget your little sister, alright?" "Never." Deep below Equestria was an enormous network of tunnels, dug out ages ago by greedy Diamond Dog miners. The network went on for miles in all directions, crisscrossing randomly, zigzagging widely, and coming to many abrupt end. With a powerful pathfinding spell, a pony trapped down here would be lost forever. Luckily for her, Trixie was more than capable. Deep within the tunnel network was a cave protected from magical detection by wards that were strong enough to hold off the Sorcerer Supreme's magic, and for technological sensors by miles and miles of solid rock. Within this cave, illuminated only by a pair of torches, sat a pony who once called herself the great and powerful Trixie. In front of Trixie sat a lump of metal, glowing brightly as Trixie focused her mental might on it. Beside her, the sphere growing there pulsed in time with her horn, amplifying her magic to rival that of an alicorn. The loss of Loki's magic had weakened her, but she refused to mourn her lost power. She was still the mightiest unicorn in Equestria, and soon she would prove it. Under Trixie's mighty magic, the metal began to glow cherry red, melted down to molten slag. Trixie carefully manipulated the liquid metal, magically sculpting it into its desired shape. As she worked, she quietly muttered to herself, still performing for the crowd even when alone.
Trixie was foolish. She can admit that. She misjudged Loki. She acted rashly.
She glanced aside the gun near and smiled.
But it was worth it in the end. Trixie is now more powerful than any pony in Equestria, all thanks to those foolish gods. Even if,
Trixie raised a hoof to her face,
even if Trixie did pay a most terrible price.
Trixie wrenched her thoughts away from the burnt flesh that had once been the most gorgeous face in all the world, refocused on the metal object that was slowly taking form.
It doesn't matter now. Trixie will have her revenge soon enough. Loki is gone, but the others, those who laughed at Trixie, belittled her, all those gods and magicians and superheroes who thought that Trixie was below their notice, they will all pay dearly!
She grinned evilly, or rather tried to. Her new face was very stiff, and couldn't do more than a slight smirk.
"Ah, it is ready,"
she said, lifting her glorious new shape to the torchlight.
"It is time then. Time to reclaim Trixie's rightful place as a ruler."
She raised the hoof to her face again, feeling the ruining skin.
"But it will not be the great and powerful Trixie who claims the throne. No, that pony is dead. She died along with all of her impatience, foolishness, and vanity when Loki stupidly turned against her. No, it is a new pony that rises from the ashes today. A pony who is free from petty concerns. A pony who desires only power and will use any means to attain it.
Let me be known no longer as Trixie, the great and powerful, she cried to the ceiling. Let me take on a new name, one that will strike fear into the heart of every pony who hears it. Let me take the name of the fate that shall befall all who defy me. Trixie levitated the metal mask she had sculpted to her and pressed it, still burning hot against her face. The metal sizzled and burned, fusing to her face, replacing her face. Trixie ignored pain. From this day forth, let me be known only as Trixie Von Doom! The end of My Little Avengers, which was pretty good. I love it. Now, let's get on to the review, shall we? First off, I just want to take a side note and say, you know what was probably the oddest thing about this whole entire story? Probably the weirdest thing for me to do? Trixie as a villainess. I had read this story back in 2012 in April, between April and May, just before the new Avengers movie came out, the first one. Much like I'm doing now. Too bad there is another My Little Adventure story. We'll read that for Infinity War, but I digress. And at the time, me reading Trixie as this evil, cruel antagonist who wants to get all of her power back and be ruthless and cunning and wanting to overthrow Twilight, that had been normal for me. I just kind of accepted it and did it. It didn't seem too weird and didn't feel too bad for me to do. But since then, I've read things like The Empty Room, Moonstone Cup, Savior of Worlds, and most importantly, Getting Back on Our Hooves. And of course, the Luniverse stories. So, by now, I have reached a point where doing Trixie as a villainess in anything, or making Trixie cruel and having Trixie be this evil gal, feels weird. It's not a mark on the fic. It just feels weird to play Trixie as evil when I'm used to reading Trixie now as, yes, Trixie can admit she's done some bad things, but she's willing to make up for it. Now, if you excuse the great and powerful Trixie, she's going to save the world, save your lives, and save every pony you know. Ta-ta! You see, do you see the problem here? It's like, I've been used to reading Trixie one way, to go back to another way that I was once used to is kind of weird. But beyond that, she did make a great antagonist. She made an excellent dragon, and I love her for it. As for the rest of the fic, as I said, I really enjoy myself. While there are grammars and plot holes and some errors here and there that I will get to, and some of my own problems with it, it is good. And it does have some great points to it. I think one of my bigger complaints about this is sometimes the villains that showed up. Namely, Hulk and Ghost Rider. I mean, I know Hulk could be rampaging and monstrous, but turning him into a villain like that felt something more Ultimates-like rather than classic Marvel. I'm guessing if I really want... if I wanted to see Spitfire demonstrate her abilities, I'm guessing I would have preferred Absorbing Man over Hulk. Because that would have been just as cool and would have just as been powerful. Hulk just felt like, well, he was there. He was just there because, well, that's a character the audience would know from the movies. And not, how would this character affect Spitfire? The Same can be said of Ghostfire, but I think I'll touch more upon that in a bit. One of the best things I love about this fic, that I personally love, is the hero team selection. Most of the time, if you see Avengers references like this, they will stick to the basics. Heck, even in the 90s, back in the Marvel cartoons, they went with a basic team structure. You have your Captain America XP, your Iron Man XP, and your Thor XP, and your Hulk XP. They even went this far with Earth's Mightiest Hero, not Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers United They Stand. And the less that's said about that show, the better! Sadly, I have a feeling only 5 of you are going to remember what United We Stand was. Ugh. But you get my point. You had different types of XPs, and you stuck to that basic formula. Here, this worked out kind of like, as much as I hate to admit it, the Super Friends, but unlike the Super Friends where there it didn't work so well, here it worked perfectly. By which I mean, Super Friends seem to have taken 3 well-known superheroes and at least 1 unknown and put them together. That's what this was like. And I applaud this fic for it. We don't get to see alternate characters like Flamebird in this. And I have to say, I am really glad for this fic. Because, well, as much as a Marvel nerd I am, I have to admit, even I didn't know who Firebird was. And now that I know, I kind of like her character. I kind of wish she would show up in various other Marvel productions or the X-Men movies. She actually sounds like a pretty interesting, well-developed character. And I applaud this fic for it. By just sticking with the 3 well-knowns, Thor, Cap, and Iron Man, and then putting in Flamebird, we had this nice little mix of 3 main characters we would recognize, plus this 1 extra one that we could get adjusted to. And their power sets seem to match perfectly. One basically bad to normal. One is super strong. We've got one for basically the armor tech base, and then we've got the leader, the god. And I have to say, I love how each one of them is constructed here. Blue Blood, I do love that we used him for, because if I were to pick anybody for an Iron Man XP, it would either be him, Twilight, or heck, even Fancy Pants. Just mainly because I like Fancy Pants, and Fleur would make an excellent Pepper. Also, I love Fancy Pants. But Blue Blood worked perfectly here. We see him actually genuinely regret all of his actions, and from that grew into a better stallion, becoming Iron Pony. I like the development and background we did for Caramel, saying that he was a down-on-his-luck pony, a pony who always lost but never gave up. As a matter of fact, my favorite scene of him was involving him facing down the penance stair like that, and overcoming it through sheer will! I bet that's something Cap would do if he ever met an evil Ghost Rider. I also love Spitfire, with her own sins and her own emotions to go through. I love how she pushed herself to the limit and felt really bad about what she had done. Like she had ignored the obvious and lost her friend. And finally, we get to our main, Big Mac. Let me just start off with saying that another benefit to this fic is that unlike some other fics highlighted on this show, i.e. certain Fandom Fridays episodes that will go unnamed, Big Mac and the others were not shown to be training perfectly. Were not shown to be perfect in every other way, and they weren't shown to be better than our main 6 heroines. But then again, the main 6 weren't the main focus of this, were they? They were all pushed mostly to the side just to serve as side characters with the exception of Rarity and Pinkie Pie. Heck, I just realized Fluttershy doesn't even show up!
Oh, well, I'm perfectly fine with that showing up in a fic if you don't mind.
No, they were shown as being heroes in their own right, and this fic also took the time to make sure that they weren't going to be shown as,
Yeah, my team is better. Yeah, look at how much more better my team is. Yeah, look at how awesome they all are. Yeah.
and making them look like, making the main six look like chumps while making his personal team look better. No, by keeping the main six out of action, we were able to appreciate them for who they were without having to degrade the main six at all. Now, I know there was a scene earlier with Rainbow Dash being chased down by Wrecker getting her butt flanked, but I'm going to chalk that less up to Wrecker being stronger than Dash and more like a hero losing their first match against a new villain. Sadly, it's less of a DID and more of a Worf effect. That's how I see it. And of course, with Whiplash, Rarity was just basically acting the whole way through. She really wasn't weak, and I have a feeling she could have taken on Whiplash in that fic. But I also love that by showing their weaknesses in their training and them learning to work as a team to take down Juggernaut, we actually got to better appreciate who they are as characters. We got to enjoy them as characters and not caricatures. We also didn't get to see them as, perfect. We saw them with their own faults, their own flaws, and their own mistakes. This helped to make it so we didn't feel like they were overpowering or dominating the main six. I also love Loki in this. Hammy, boisterous, and just Narmi to the touch. He's Loki. And I loved him for it. I loved hamming it up. Let me tell you that much. I loved it. Every single minute of it. Actually, I may love acting in my serious stuff, but I loved hamming it up back there. Loki, Thor, Trixie. It was a blast to just start being a hammy type of actor. I can see why some movie actors love doing it. It was fun, and I loved it. But I also loved Loki as a villain because, well, he acted like a really good, boisterous villain and somebody good to start everything off with. Now to one of the downsides I have with this is, well, the villain roster. Now, well, Red Skull and Ironmonger are okay. They're fine. Although, I kind of wish Ironmonger was instead of Obsidian Shane a mind-controlled evil fancy pants. Just so we would have a character we knew versus a character that we needed 5 seconds to build up. Red Skull wasn't necessary to be built up, but still, they were great. My only complaint is Ghostflyer. Even when I read this the first time, it doesn't make sense to turn Ghost Rider into a villain. I mean, I guess you wanted to put all the characters as sins right out there in the open. I guess that's okay if you wanted the character to see all the wrongs she did, but beyond that, Ghost Rider really doesn't work so much as a villain. Doesn't even work as a mook. Ghost Rider works better as, well, the spirit of vengeance. As much as I don't like using Punisher, that's kind of like just putting the Punisher on the team of Dark Avengers. The team doesn't really make that much sense. Now, how I would change would be either, say, somebody like Wizard or Mento or some other super villain, or heck, even Mandarin. Some other villain who has mind control abilities. That way, he could have easily had Spitfire turn against, a friend or have her cause an accident with her powers, and that would have broken her. This would really hurt her and give her what Loki wanted. I also enjoyed how the team built up. The stories just flow, so to speak. We started off basic with just Thor coming in. Then we got introduced to our team in a pretty well done manner. About most of a chapter dedicated to each, so that way we could get a little bit of their backstory, a little bit of their introduction. And then we get the team together. We see them fail in their first trial with the training room, where they had to learn how to work together, see their own flaws. And I do kind of like that scene because it did leave it up to the reader's imagination. It did feel kind of comic bookish, where you would have a blank screen and you would see all the characters' word bubbles, and then the next scene you would see the characters all come out all beaten, and then Thor would give the recap. And then you would move on to then Juggernaut, the team's first loss, and then from there. As I said, I love Thor's fighting style here in his character development. We start first off with Big Mac being unsure of himself. And it makes sense. He sees himself as a farmer and doesn't know if he's cut out for the hero role. Then we move on to him trying his best to be a leader and keeping himself secret, which, while I do want to say that's a flaw with the fic, it's not so much as a flaw with the fic as a flaw with the original comics itself. You see, in the original comics of Avengers, for the first few issues, they didn't tell each other's secret identities. They didn't say they were Tony, Hank, Janet, and Steve, and Donald Blake. And I have my own problems with this. For instance, there is a trust issue, and second, there are certain comic books that use this to their advantage, and I'm not just talking Infinite Identity Crisis. Some people would use that to their advantage, and I am, for one, glad that Big Mac was called out upon that. That he pointed out that, that kind of was messed up. We told you all ours, and you kept yourself secret. But at least that was a fault. At least he was getting called out on it. It could have been worse. We could have had a fault with that, and he probably wouldn't have been called out on it and said, and probably just shrugged off and went, "I did what was necessary."
Well, okay.
I also do love that Big Mac soon learned to accept his hero role at the very end, ready to face down Loki and be awesome. And the end fights were spectacular on this. Captain America's was my favorite, with him fighting through sheer force of will, followed by probably Iron Ponies and then Spitfires. And of course, Thor's was still awesome all around. I think I have to complain a little bit about Loki's MO, his motivations in this, and his whole entire plan in general. He says he wants a world ruled by magic. Let's see. Equestrians use magic through their horns to do everything. Pegasi control the weather through magic, I do believe. And Earth Ponies do it through a lot of their own tools, but hard labor. Maybe if this was the Equestria Girls world, I could understand his desire. Or maybe if this was a techno-based Equestria, or if this was, say, the Ponyverse of My Little Ponytails, which would be wrong. I would understand his MO of wanting a world ruled by magic. Especially after he created a singularity and went, ha 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 ha, soon the world will be mutants. Soon it will be all covered in magic. Again, I was this close to pointing out, dude, the world's already ruled with magic. This little unicorn filly says hello. Hello! Speaking of one teeny tiny little plot hole, the fic never did say if Luna came back. Did she? Hello? I'm still up here on the moon. If any pony would be so kind as to bring me back. I mean, I could understand what he was trying to do before. Get Thor friends. Get him to build up all his strength, his ego, and his power. Give him the confidence he needed to do all this. Build a team. Then perform a reverse elements harmony on him by using the harmonic bonds of them and then snapping all their strength back. Take Monier. Profit. I can understand that. But Loki, every time Loki mentioned a world ruled by magic, I can't help but point out Pegasi Earth Ponies and unicorns already use a lot of magic in this world. That's like going to a technology-based universe, like saying going to oh, I don't know, Scaro and going, I want a world ruled by tech. We already have technology! Frack. Or going to the Borg world and saying, I want everything to be ruled by technology. But I want to put that as a minor problem I have in a fic like this. But it's nothing that really deters me from my enjoyment of it. The two big romances in this. I'm okay with rarities and blue bloods. There was precedent for it. I think Caramels and Spitfires could have done more. Could have been more done to build up with it. As it stands, it was just mainly, Ma, you're cute. You're cute too. And boom, they're cuddling and snuggling. Kind of wish there was a little more to it than that. Don't mind Pinkie Pie being a lesbian, as I just see as a random 5-minute gag. And another fault that I can think of with this fic would probably be just how fast everything moves. But I can understand that. You see, I think here's the fic's greatest strength, and one of the reasons why I enjoy it so much. This read to me like an early 90s superhero film that was made for younger audiences, or just that early 90s superhero film in general. I mean it. Couldn't you just, if I were to put this into movie form, can't you just see Big Mac training and there's a type of 80s type of montage music playing and Pinky cheering in the background? Or during the scene where Big Mac is walking all alone after his big loss, there's this really sad 90s sad music playing. Kind of like that. That's the way I felt like reading throughout the whole this. I mean, we already have the super hammy villain like you would find. We have the hero loses everything moment that you would find in one of these type of things. Like, say, Zoom. You have the heroes get together because the power of friendship and love, although considering what show this is based off, I'm quite glad that they decided to use the powers of friendship in both the bad way, false friends, and in the good way. Good friends. With Big Mac coming back and basically pulling a true friend on us all and using Twilight Sparkle handbook, page 49. When in doubt, use friendship to bond everybody. And then you have the characters beaming back. All in all, I felt like this could have been put into a 90 minutes kids superhero film, and it would work gloriously. Heck, you would have people enjoying it, laughing a bit about it, and big critics going, well, it's a dumb superhero flick, but what can you understand? Basically, not up to par with the Marvel Cinematic Universe circa now, and more like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel Cinematic films circa the 1990s. And for that, I love it. Granted, it isn't going to be it isn't the greatest one, but I do enjoy it. And for people who are quite curious on how to make a good crossover fic or a good fusion fic, and they don't want and they're hesitant to try Fallout Equestria, or if people just want to get into fanfics general, this is one of those I would recommend to read and say, here, you'll enjoy it and you can see why. Or just to show what this fandom can do with the background characters, if somebody were to ask me, well, why do you like the fandom so much? Why do you enjoy being here? Well, because I really enjoy what this fandom can do with the background characters. They can develop them really well and give them their own personalities so we can feel like they're more human. Here, read this. And let them enjoy it. And I highly recommend it to all of you guys. Well, it's the end of one fic. You know what that means. Time for some Luniverse action. Take it, girls! Next time on the Luniverse, it's Hearts and Homestead Day here, everybody. Oh, I can't wait. The candy, the flowers, and... Wait, do you ever have this feeling you might have missed it? Oh, gods. Did I? Oh, no. What will Bon Bon think of me? I don't know if I can face her after that. Oh, gods. God. Oh, gods. Oh, gods. Oh, gods. Oh, gods. Oh, gods.
Oh, Miss Julie. Huh? I think I know who your special sun pony is.
Oh, really? Sweet Belle, who do you think it is?
It's a secret.
That's quite interesting. Next time on the Luniverse, Hearts and Toast Day special feature. Twin stories of Hearts and Hose and Charlie's Secret Sun Pony. It's sure to be quite romantic. This June, let us turn back the clock. You are a princess. You'll find your part. To before T-Rex and princesses. My power was able to surpass the great Princess Celestia! To before the wedding. And then all Equestria will be mine. To before chaos. To the days of honest hearts. Hail there, Sugar Cube! Of loyal friends. See? 10 seconds flat. Of generous faces.
Oh, wait about that. Let me go get you some ribbies.
Of even kinder souls.
Hello. I'm Fluttershy.
Of many laughs.
Were you surprised? Were you?
Of the story of a little unicorn named Twilight Sparkle. And the greatest magic of all. The magic of friendship. This June, in a few weeks' time, the elements of friendship, harmony,